I'm Matthew Stewart. This is my wife, Courtney Stewart. And we have 5 kids, Titus, Mercy, Levi, Haven, and Autumn. And this is our adoption story.
So we felt the Lord calling us to adoption back when we were dating, and we ended up talking about it and agreeing that that's something that we wanted to do in the future. And we had our first child, Titus, and thought about it after Titus was born, and the Lord shut those doors. And we had Mercy, and again we thought about adoption after that, and the Lord shut those doors again. And then Levi came, and it seemed like after he was born, the Lord was opening up a path for us to walk the adoption route, and so we started pursuing that. We got word from our best friends who were currently living in North Carolina that there was a mother who was pregnant and in need of a family and looking for a family. I called Matt and said, "Hey Matt, there's this mom who needs a family for her newborn baby." And he was hesitant at first, but we continued to pray about it, and the Lord started opening up doors.
Much longer process than you would have ever imagined, with lots of highs and lows. There was one moment in particular when, as we were driving back to our home, that we got a call that we had to return our daughter back to the adoption agency. There had been a legal motion from the birth father, and so we had to turn around and we had to drive back to North Carolina. And I'll never forget, it was like silence in the car. We're about 5 minutes away from having to give our daughter back after all of these months of praying and waiting, but we trust that God's sovereign. We trust that He's good and He'll always do what's right. And 5 minutes from returning our daughter, we got a call from our lawyer to turn around and go back, and everything had been put on hold, and just the sense of relief that came over us. And that, for me, and I think for both of us, that's when the real process started.
So when we started out with this adoption, we had $0. We started fundraising, we applied for grants, we were doing everything we could. We used our tax return, all the things that are available to most people to use. We were just sucking dry every resource. And it came time for Haven to be born, and we were still short probably close to $15,000. And our agency had said, once she's born, the rest of that money is due. And we were just looking at each other saying, "Okay, God, now's the time." And a few other people knew our immediate need, and we were approached by UnOrphaned and asked if they could help. And we said, absolutely, sure. What's this going to look like? And we ended up coming up with a group of people, probably about 150 people, who we each asked to give $100 to completely pay off the rest of the money that we needed to owe. Our daughter, we live in Maryland. Our daughter was born in North Carolina, and when we arrived at the hospital when she was born, we still owed that money and we had none of it. And we ended up having to stay in North Carolina for 3 weeks after she was born to allow for state laws to allow us to pass back into Maryland. And in that 3-week time frame, we had every cent of the money that we needed. It showed up. And not only did we have every cent, but the court costs that we were going to have for Maryland, that was also covered by the money that was raised through UnOrphaned. And we are forever grateful. And through that ministry, we were able to see God work in an incredible way. I mean, money is nothing to God. He owns it all. And He just used UnOrphaned in that way to bless us and to show His power and His glory.
So just know that it's going to be hard, and it's going to be costly, and yet it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be wonderful. And as we look at our daughter Haven today, she just molds into our family, and we're thankful for how God worked that.